How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Okay. Go back in. Let's go out, y'all. We're gonna go back in. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find what I'm looking for, okay? What y'all doing? Yes, it's me again. It's your girl again. Hold on, y'all. Because something ain't going on the way I need it to be going on, okay? Something ain't going on the way I need to be going on, okay? Here we go. Y'all see y'all doing? Give it y'all 1 second, 1 second. Give your girl 1 second. All right. There we go. Well, y'all know what time it is, right? My little book falling apart, y'all. My little book is falling apart. Been had it so long. Is y'all ready? Is y'all ready? Is y'all ready? Y'all. So, last time we read this book, we started off with chapter 5, or chapter 1 through 5, which was, hey Don, thanks. I miss you too. How you doing? We reading R.L. Stine, The Wrong Number. I've been reading this for a few times now. I was just saying, we started off with chapter 1 through 5, and then we went from 5 to where we are now, which is 11. I appreciate your cooking skills. Oh, thank you so much, Don. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Oh, I will be doing one of those real soon, real soon. Y'all. So, to recap, chapter 1 through 5, we basically started off with the two young teenage girls. Okay? Started off with the two young teenage girls, and they was in their room, in one of their rooms, and they was doing their hair, and you know, you bring joy to my family. Oh, thank you so much, Don. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. And um, I'm giving a little recap so everybody can catch up. Okay, I'm doing a little recap, Don. Okay, so between in chapter 1 through 5 is about two teenage girls. They was in their room, y'all, and they was doing their hair and they was lollygagging, and they decided that they wanted to make some prank calls. Okay, so they called some of their school people and did a little few prank calls or whatever. In the meantime, one of their brothers was supposed to be coming to live with her, which is her half. Y'all, I think King Zachariah getting ready to come through this door, and he gonna disturb me. Wait, y'all. Yes, he came back to disturb me, y'all. He came back to disturb me. Now wait till you walked out the door to start this, right? Cause I didn't want no noise.
I just tried to call you.
I didn't want no noise.
Look what I forgot.
He forgot everything he was supposed to be going out of here for, y'all.
Look, I done grabbed the drill, grabbed everything else,
and then left what you really
and
need.
that's what I really need.
That's pretty good. Y'all, King Zachariah be cutting up, y'all. King Zachariah be cutting up.
Girl,
Huh?
that was your fault for throwing me out with that doggone garbage.
Don said hi.
Tell Don said what's up. Tell Don said what's up.
Okay, I will.
All right.
Y'all.
Love y'all. I'll see y'all later. I'll be right back.
Sending California love. Oh. All right, y'all. Let me see. Make sure he ain't turning back around to disturb me, y'all. I think he gone this time. Okay, so let's start that again. Let's start that again, y'all. Okay. Okay. So it started out with these two teenage girls, and they was in their room, and they was doing their hair. They was coloring. One of them was coloring their hair, and the other one, she was in there. They was lollygagging. Yes, keep it going, don't he? And they was doing their hair, and they decided to make some prank calls, y'all. They made some prank calls today. Stay people in school. Some of they uh kids. Some of the kids in school, and this, that, and the other, which was just little harmless pranks. And then, but one of their brothers was supposed to come and live with them because apparently back where he lived with his mom, he was doing bad and stuff in school. Okay, he was getting into fights and doing this and doing that. So he wind up getting expelled from school. So y'all know how that go. When a teenage boy started messing up, guess what? It's time for your daddy to handle you. So that's what's gonna happen. Hold on, y'all. Now I got a call coming. Hi, I'm on live.
What you doing?
I'm on live. You want to say hi?
You on live? Not really, cause I look real crazy.
You don't. They know you.
No, they don't.
Say hi to my live.
Well, what's going on live?
Real S&N, y'all.
Yeah. All that good stuff. Well, go on, do your live and everything. Call me when you finish.
Okay, I will. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Y'all. Okay. They don't want me to finish this story, y'all. They don't want me to finish this story. Hey, Vondi, thanks for coming in. Yes, big grinding today for sure, Vondi. Trying to get some watch hours. Want y'all want to help? If y'all want to help a sister out, run me up. Run me up, y'all. Trying to get them watch hours in. But so apparently he was doing bad in school, and it's kind of like typical for a teenage boy to be raised by his mom, and then he become a teenager and he started doing things he not supposed to be doing. Then it's time for the daddy to step in. Okay, it is because a young man probably needs some daddy guidance. Okay. Yes, they need some daddy guidance. So that's what happened. I guess the mom sent him to be with his dad because he got expelled. But the sister, she had only seen her brother, her half brother, a couple times in her life, and now they're teenagers. So they didn't really know each other as well as they should have known each other. So they were supposed to be going to pick him up the next day from the airport. Okay. Okay. So they go pick him up, and on their way back, it was a horrible crash, y'all. On their way back from the airport, it was a horrible crash, and the teenage boy, he was a little hero. He went and saved a little dog from a burning car. Just a little young hero. So it was kind of contradicting to his sister. Like, okay, he's doing bad in school, got expelled, but now he's rescuing animals, and so he was one of those both sided. He was a good kid, but kids get into things. Okay, so everything, all that happened. So they get to the house, and he kind of standoffish with everybody, in at the house or whatever. But and then he called his little sister. He called her kid. Okay, instead of calling by her name, stuff like that, he called her kid. Okay, like they were so far, age was so different or something. They were both teenagers. Hi, East Dad. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. And so, um, things went on. The next day, the next day, they in the house, and the girls decide that they want to do the pranks on the phone again. Okay, but this time, the brother wants to get involved in the pranks. Okay. uh, and The pranks didn't go so well. Now the pranks was harmless at first, y'all, when the two girls was doing it. But the brother, he decided he wants to get into the pranks. But his pranks was not so harmless, guys. He was calling places and um, saying some real way off stuff, like the B threats. Blow up. I don't want, I don't know what all I can say on here, but the saying that's something, where people had to come out of the building and make sure, everybody good, yeah, type of stuff. He was doing some bad pranks. Okay. So um that didn't sit well with his sister. you know he did that prank, and then he also did a prank where he was talking about this place called Fear Street. Okay. So the next day, the officers came to the house, and no, they didn't come to the house. They came to I think to the school, if I'm not mistaken. Let me think, y'all. Mm. They was at the school because they was trying to figure out, you know, about these threats that was sent out, trying to make sure it wasn't, you know, terrorists or type of stuff. So, okay, that go on. Now, um, they decided. Well, the sister told him, I don't want to do these pranks no more. That was too much. You went too far. This, that, and the other. Hey, Cherokee. How you doing? Thanks for coming in. So she decided she don't want to do these pranks no more. But the brother and the friend still want to do the pranks. But she was like, no, I'm not doing it no more. So they was like, okay, fine. We're not going to do it no more. Ooh, out the bam. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Good, good, good. And so the next night, the parents decided that they wanted to go out to party with friends and this, that, and the other. Left the girl and the boy in the house that night, and the friend came back over. And y'all, y'all, the boy, he decides he want to call on the phone yet again. Okay. But he said, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Cause I don't want my stuff to go out on y'all. And put this, hold on. I don't even think this is the cord. See, I knew I was gonna forget something. This ain't even the cord for what I need. Hold on, y'all. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose y'all, okay? Hold on, I gotta get this cord. Y'all, King Zachariah should be coming back in his dough right now. He should be coming back through this door right now, y'all. But you're not. And I said I was gonna hold on. I'm gonna see if I can use my little trusty back scratcher, y'all. See if I can get this cord. Yeah. All right. That ain't gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is, hold on, y'all. We gonna make this work. Okay. We're gonna make this work. Um, I'm gonna go here. It's 9:13 in New Jersey. East Dad. We gonna make this work, y'all. Okay. All right. Uh-oh. Let me turn it down. We gonna make this work, y'all. We're gonna turn that down, and we gonna switch this out, y'all, cause this gonna go out on me. And put my phone right up there. Can still see y'all messages. Okay. Still see y'all messages. We're gonna let that one just run over there. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. So the next night, he decided. Well, they was talking about Fear Street. Your sister was like, you went too far with the pranks, this, that, and the other, and they was like, talking about this Fear Street. And the brother was like, that's not true. You know, it's regular people live on Fear Street. Y'all just scary, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. So he was like, I'll prove it to you. So he grabs the phone book. Okay. He grabs the phone book and he getting ready to make a call. And the sister was like, no. You said you was not gonna you promised. You said you wasn't gonna make no more call. He said, but I'm not making a prank call. I'm just calling a regular person on Fear Street so you can see that there are regular people on Fear Street and that y'all have nothing to be afraid of. Okay. So he picks up the phone. He takes the phone book, y'all. Okay. When he made the call, the phone rings. And it rung maybe 5 times. Nobody picked up. So he's getting ready to hang up the phone so he can call a different number. But somebody answered the phone, y'all. And when somebody answered the phone, the woman said, help me. I need help. Please help me. Please help me. Okay. Which was really, really weird to them. So, he was trying to get some information out of the woman, but all she kept saying is, please help me, please help me. So the phone hangs up again, okay? He decides to call the number back. When he calls the number back, somebody else, a man, answers the phone. And the man was like, you have the wrong number, whoop the bam, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But he was trying to get some information out of the man. The man wasn't trying to say anything. So the man hangs up, okay? Now, this is on Fear Street, okay? So then the brother was like, okay, we need to call the police. That woman, she really seemed like she needs help. Ooh, after bam, this, that, and the other. So they was like, well, we can't call the police because of what you did on the phone, and they're looking for the person that, you know, did those calls and this, that, and the other. Okay? So it wouldn't have been logical for them to call the police because they would have got in trouble for the previous day, what the brother did. Okay? So they decide to get in the car. He talks them into getting into the car and going over to Fear Street to that address that was in the phone book to see if everything was okay with this lady. Y'all. Y'all, when they get there, it was not all good, okay? Just to say the least. It was not all good, okay? They go into the house and they see somebody laying there on the floor. this, that, and the other, y'all. Okay? And as they was getting ready to approach the person that was laying there, they hear somebody else coming down the stairs. Y'all, it's a man. And he's holding um, a weapon in his hand. Okay? And he telling them, why are y'all here? This, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Okay? He tried to come at them. They got out the house. They ran for their lives, okay? This man proceeded to get in his car, in his truck, and chase them down Fear Street, y'all. Okay? Then, let me tell you, he chasing them. He chasing them, and they trying to get away. They really, really trying to get away. So, I don't know if this was smart or not, but they made it to back to their house. Okay? They made it back to their house, and instead of man pulling in to where they was at, he kept on going. But, y'all, that's kind of weird because now he know where y'all live. Hello. Y'all don't think about that. Well, they did, but they didn't have no other choice but to go home and try to get in a safe environment. Okay. So that went on. Y'all, when the police came back to their house the next day, y'all, the man then went and told the police that they broke into his house, into the house, and that they the one did whatever was wrong with that person that was laying on the floor. Yeah, so he didn't chase them to their house, got their address, and blamed it all on them. Hello. Okay. That's what had happened. And so, now, we are on chapter 11. Okay? So, we need to see what's going to go on. And as y'all know, by the last time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the last two paragraphs of the 10th chapter, and then we're going to go into the 11th chapter so it won't seem so weird going into, okay? All right. So far, so good. His plan had been accomplished, even better than he hoped. For once, luck was on his side. Things were definitely going his way. Now all he had to do was wait for another week, wait and do nothing else, unless someone tried to get in his way. If that happens, well, one more murder wouldn't be so hard. In fact, it would probably be easier than the first one. That was the 10th chapter, y'all. Going into the 11th. Okay. Y'all ready for it? Because I'm ready for it, y'all. It says the third week in September. Okay. Dina woke up Sunday afternoon at 2. She laid in bed a moment, confused. Then everything that had happened the night before came flooding back like a nightmare. The detectives had put her and Chuck in the back of their unmarked car and taken them to the police headquarters. Mr. and Mrs. Martinezson followed in a BMW. The detective told Dina's mother that her Honda would be impounded for evidence. Just before they drove off, Chuck had whispered fiercely to Dina, "Don't say anything, Dina. We're innocent. Anything you say will make things worse." At the station house, everything looked just the way it did in the movies. There was a goof-looking, gray-head desk sergeant and a battered gray metal desk covered with papers. Even though it was so late at night, there was a uniformed officer filling out a report, and talking on the phone. Dina had only a couple of minutes to check out the place because soon after they arrived, she and Chuck were separated and she was taken to a small room with no windows. Y'all, I forgot to tell y'all that when they took them, when they did that, they never did tell them that it was a third person. So the friend was not implicated. Okay. So y'all will know. So y'all will be wondering, what happened to the other girl? Okay. Okay. So she was taken to a small room with no window. She sat at a battered table with a scared Lomia's top with while detectives began questioning her again. They kept asking her who the other teenager was who had been with them. Dina wanted to tell the truth, but remembered Chuck's warning, and she didn't want to get Jade in trouble. After a few minutes, Sidney Roberts, her father's lawyer, showed up. He talked some legal jargon with the detectives, and after a while, they went out of the room. She was so tired by then, and she didn't care much what happened. She wondered if she was going to be put in a jail cell. At least there would be a place to lie down, she thought. The next thing she knew, her father was shaking her. She had fallen asleep, bent over the table with her hands cradling her head. Come on, honey, her mother said. We can go home now. Dina stood up, shaking, yarning. What happened? She asked. We're letting you go for now, said Detective Monroe from the doorway. I'm sorry, but we'll want to talk to you again. Don't leave town. Dina almost laughed. Sure, she thought, as if I had anywhere to go. But how do you run away from a nightmare? She followed her parents through the hall of the building, then out into the chilling night air. To the east, the sky was getting lighter. She had never stayed up so late before. They walked out into the parking lot before she remembered. Chuck, she said. Where's Chuck? They've arrested him, said her father, sounding grim. What? Said Dina, suddenly wide awake with shock. This isn't the first time he's been in trouble with the police, her father went on, his voice weary and sad. Last year in the Center City, Chuck and some other boys were caught joyriding in a stolen car. But, Dina protested, that doesn't have anything to do with what happened tonight. Her father suddenly looked very old, very weary. The police checked his files on the Center City, he said. There was a record of his fingerprint, and it seems that they matched the fingerprints to the knife that was used to murder Miss Ferguson. What? Wait a minute. What? Y'all. Okay. Mm-hmm. That ain't no good thing. Wait a minute, was that's what they did with chapter 11? That's it? Y'all. So, yeah. That was part of it. When he went in the house, he picked up the knife when that man came downstairs with with something in his hand. So to help them get up out of there, he picked up the knife that was on the floor with the body, y'all. So that's where the fingerprints came from. Mm-hmm. Let's keep going. Mm-hmm. Chapter 12. That was a short little chapter, y'all. Okay. So Dina started out into the early morning darkness as they rode home in silence. No matter how tired how hard she tried, she couldn't keep the horrifying scene in the house on Fear Street out of her mind. Again and again, she saw the ransacked living room, the woman laying sprawled on the floor, the knife, the blood. She wanted to tell her parents everything. Maybe if she described it out loud, she would stop seeing it over and over again in her mind. But how could she explain? Where should she start? Her father was the first to interrupt the silence. I just don't understand this at all, he said in a voice she had seldom, how y'all say it? Seldomly heard. If you and Chuck don't know anything about this, how could Chuck's fingerprints be on the knife? I, well, Dina could feel all the horror welling inside her. She suddenly felt like a balloon about to burst. Well, what? Her father asked impatiently. Hi, realist. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Dina couldn't hold it in any longer. Of course, his fingerprints are on the knife, she screamed, but he didn't kill her. She was already dead. You've got to believe me. You've got to. Then she started to cry and couldn't stop. Calm down, her mother said softly. We'll talk about this when we get home. Her father continued to drive, staring straight ahead through the windshield, his eyes hard and cold into the rearview mirror. Despite the hour, Jade came over as soon as Dina called her. Maybe the two of us can explain it to my parents, Dina said, opening the door for Jade. I don't think I can do it by myself. For once, Jade looked terrified. Her eyes were red. She was as pale as a ghost. The old sweater she had thrown on had a hole in it and a stain on her sleeve. Is Chuck really in jail? She whispered to Dina as they headed into the kitchen to face Dina's parents. Yes, he was 18 on his last birthday. That means they can try him as an adult. But he's innocent, Jade cried. What about bail? Can't your father get him out? There's no bail for murder suspects. Dina replied, Murder? She couldn't believe she was saying the word out loud. You've got to help me, Dina said, squeezing Jade's hand. You've got to help me convince my parents. They walked into the barely lit kitchen. Mr. and Mrs. Martinson greeted Jade without smiling. Mrs. Martinson poured a cup of coffee. Make sure I'm not missing y'all coming in. Thank y'all for coming in. Okay, you're both here, said Mr. Martinson, said with grim face. Begin at the beginning. Fighting back tears and sipping coffee with trembling hands, Dina and Jade told her parents everything. They started with the phone calls. They ended with their visit to Fear Street, the terrifying car chase that followed. For a long while after they had finished, Dina's parents didn't say anything. They contemplated the floor, shaking their heads. Do you mean to say that this whole thing began with a prank call? Mr. Morrison said at last. And it ended in murder? Jade said suddenly, her voice a whisper. But the two aren't connected, said Dina, signing miserably. It was hard to believe that those silly calls to Rob Morrell and the others had started only 2 weeks earlier. It seemed more like 2 years. We didn't mean any harm, Mr. Morrison, Jade said. It was just something to do, a fun way of putting on some of the boys at, putting on some of the boys at school. I just don't understand. Then how did Chuck get involved in it? Asked Dina's mother. He happened to overhear one of the conversations with Jade, and then he made some prank calls himself. But that isn't even how it happened to call the Ferguson's number. What do you mean? Asked Mr. Morrison. Well, you see, there was this bat, Dina said. A bat, cried her mother. Dina, will you please try to make some sense? Dina sighed. She knew how lame the whole thing sounded, and if her parents wouldn't believe her, how could she expect the police to? It's obvious the girl is trying to protect her brother. Detective Morris whispered to Detective Fraser, loud enough for Dina to hear. It was late Sunday afternoon. Dina and Jade had just told the whole story again, before the beginning, from the beginning. But from the expressions on the detective's face, it was obvious that they only believed parts of it, the part that seemed the worst for Chuck. Let's go over this again, said Detective Frazier. When did Chuck make the threatening phone calls? Before or after he made the bomb threat? You make it sound so terrible, said Dina, trying not to cry again, trying to maintain control. But it was just a prank. He didn't make he didn't make all that many calls. Even one bomb threat is a serious matter, I've observed Detective Frazier. And you say he used the name the Phantom of Fear Street? One on one or two calls, said Dina. Someone using the name called 911 right after the break at the Ferguson, Frazier said. That was Chuck, Jade said. Why did he use that name? Asked Frazier. If he hadn't done anything wrong, why didn't he say who he was? Because we've told you. Dina was so ex- exasperated she felt like screaming. He was already in enough trouble. He'd been expelled from his old school. He's gotten in that stupid fight at the cafeteria. A real model citizen, in other words, said Frazier sarcastically. Let's move on, said Detective Monroe, to the night of the murder. Now, you said that Chuck just happened to pick the Ferguson's number out of the phone book at random. That's right, said Jade and Dina in unison. And he did this because you girls were scared of bats? Disbelief showed on his face. Dina just nodded. No wonder the policeman didn't believe her. It all sounded crazy, even to her, and yet it was true. Then you kids decided to go to Fear Street alone. We thought of calling the police, Jay said, but Chuck said you never believe us. And he was right. You don't. Uh-huh, said Detective Monroe. So you went over there and broke in the back door. The back door had already been broken into, said Dina. Right, said Monroe. And then you discovered the body of Miss Ferguson. We didn't know who she was, Dina said. Chuck thought she might still be alive, Jade added. So he started to call for an ambulance, said Dina. And that's when your mystical masked man appeared, said Detective Frazier. He's not mystical, said Dina. He's real. He broke in and robbed the house. He stabbed Miss Ferguson. He was still there when we arrived. Why aren't you out? searching for him instead of putting Chuck in jail. Ferguson's identified Chuck in a lineup this afternoon, said Monroe in a flat tone. Chuck's fingerprints were found on the murder weapon, said Frazier. No one else's. But we explained that, said Dina. When the man in the mask, oh, what's the use? She blinked back tears, then stole a peek at Jade. Jade appeared to be very bit as upset as Dina felt. She looked slightly green, as if she was about to become sick. For a moment, neither policeman spoke. Then Monroe started in again. Can either of you explain to me why a burglar, let alone a murderer, would hang around when he heard three people enter the house? It doesn't make any sense, added Frazier. Why would he let you see him? Why wouldn't he hide somewhere till you left? Or try to escape without being seen? Why would he want to chase you? Said Monroe. If he'd done the things you said, girl, he wouldn't be too interested in chasing after three teenagers in his car and then just driving away. He don't know We don't know why, Dina shouted, but everything we we've told you is true. Is the truth. Detective Monroe signed. Listen to me, Dina Jade. Loyalty is wonderful. I try to teach it to my own kids, but loyalty is no virtue when it causes you to lie, to protect someone bad. Now we understand that you want to help Chuck, but his crazy stories can't do him any good at all. It's not crazy, Dina said. It's true. Come on, girl, Detective Frazier said. This has to be hard on you. You can help Chuck most by telling the truth. So please, think carefully and then tell us what really happened. Y'all. don't sound like don't sound like they believe in them, y'all. Sound like Chuck is in a world of trouble. Y'all, my take on it, and if the police was really detectives, from what I read so far, I'm gonna tell y'all what I get out of it. And then we're gonna see what else happened on chapter 13. Okay, so from what I read, the man came down the stairs. Okay. But he had on a mask. And he had a weapon in his hand. Okay. He didn't try to run like he was a burglar or something. He stayed right there. And then this man chased them and followed them home. Is it me? But how in the world could Mr. Ferguson tell the police what Chuck looked like unless he was the masked man? Hello. But I'm going to see what chapter 13 about. Okay? Let's see what chapter 13 about. I'm just saying. But let's see. Because it wasn't nobody else there. They didn't see anybody. They didn't run into anybody else except for him and the woman that was on the floor that couldn't see or say anything. So how in the world, I'll say again, did he go to the police and tell the police not only what Chuck looked like, but where Chuck lived? Y'all tell me. Hello? Is anybody listening to this? Okay. Let's get into it. Sunday night, chapter 13. Sunday night, couldn't get any get Sunday night, Dina couldn't get to sleep. The event on of Saturday night and Sunday kept chasing through her mind. It was bad enough that the police didn't believe a word she and Jade had told them. Now she had to go to school and face her friends, who would all know that she and Jade and Chuck were mixed up in a murder. Monday morning, excuse me, Monday morning, she met Jade in the parking lot before school. Jade was wearing navy jumpsuit, a navy jumper with a frizzy pink wool jacket. She was dressed like her old self. For once, however, her mouth wasn't turned up in a malicious smile. She looked grim. Have you seen this? She said, handing Dina the morning paper. Dina opened it. There was the story right at the top of the page, page one, the headlines in bold black letters that says, local teen charged in murder. Below that, a smaller type with a subheading line, 18-year-old suspect tried to phone tied to phone threat, her heart pounding. Nina began to read. Charles A. Martinson, the son of local telephone executive Robert B. Martinson, was arrested at his home early Sunday morning and charged with the stabbing murder Saturday night of Edna Lemley Ferguson, 45. Miss Ferguson, who moved to Shadyside only 6 months ago, was found by her husband Stanley, 46, in their ransacked house at 884 Fear Street. According to police source, Miss Ferguson surprised the suspect as he was burglarizing the house. A struggle ensued and Miss Ferguson was killed with a 10-inch long knife that her husband identified as from their kitchen. Mr. Ferguson told police that he arrived home as the suspect was fleeing. The moon was right above the house, so I got a good look at him and the license on his car, Ferguson said. Ferguson didn't pursue the intruder, but instead ran inside to check on the safety of his wife. Ferguson had come home early from uh, Albanga 3. What is that? Something Albanga 3. With a little line, three uh different numbers on. Mm-hmm. A popular Italian restaurant that he owns and operates. Usually, I don't get home until after midnight, Ferguson told the press. But Edna wouldn't answer the phone, and I got worried. I had a feeling something was wrong. Y'all. Mr. Martinson's youth is being held without bond, pending further investigation. Also arrested were two juvenile girls who were later released to their parents' custody. According to police sources, the three teens are implicated in a murder of threatening. Wait a minute. According to the police, the three teens are implicated in a number of threatening phone calls that have been made in the Shadyside area in recent weeks, including the bomb threat at Shadyside Lanes after Saturday night. These same sources report that Charles Martin identified himself as the Phantom of Fear Street in these calls, while the girls made anonymous suggestive calls to local boys. Y'all. Dina finished reading the article, then reread it, hoping to find something different. Grimly, she handed it back to Jade. "I'm not going to school today," she said, wishing she meant wishing she meant it. "It's awful, isn't it?" said Jade. "But do you think anyone will know it's us?" "Who else?" said Dina. "Chuck's my brother, and everyone knows you, and we hang out together." "I just can't figure out how Ferguson saw Chuck. We didn't see him." "Dina, we were running for our lives," Jade answered. Then she looked at the paper again. "It says we were both arrested," Jade, Jade said, "but I wasn't even there." "It doesn't matter," said Dina. "The article makes everything look as bad as possible. People are going to believe the worst, like the police did," said Jade. "Right," Dina agreed and signed. As Dina and Jade were had feared, the only topic of conversation at school that day was Chuck and the murder. Chuck had only attended Shadyside for 2 weeks, so just a few kids knew him. But by second period, everyone in the school knew that he was Dina's brother and that Dina and Jade were with him the night of the murder. Okay? But strangely, no one seemed to blame the girls for anything. In fact, a lot of kids seemed sympathetic. Dina was surprised in her first period class when Kathy Narada passed her a note. "Don't worry," the note read. "Chuck's in my geometry class, and I'm sure he's innocent." Mostly everyone was curious. They all wanted to know what had happened. Dina didn't know how Jade was handling it, but say she tried to say as little as possible while still seemingly friendly. "I got stickers when Lisa Blam, assistant editor of the school newspaper, cornered Dina between second and third period. I heard all about your brother," Lisa told Dina. "Pretty rough." "Yeah," said Dina. "Thanks. I'm sure he's completely innocent though," Lisa went on. "Of course he is," said Dina. She started to push she started to push past Lisa and head for her next class, but Lisa put her hand on Dina's arm. "By the way," she said casually, "everyone says you and Jade were with Chuck when it happened. The spectators would really love to do a feature on it." "I'm sorry," said Dina, "but the detectives told us not to talk about it." "Don't you want to let people know your brother is innocent?" said Lisa. "Of course I do," said Dina, but but every time I try to help him, I end up making things worse. Please, Lisa, don't push me." "Sorry," said Lisa. "I understand, but maybe you can tell me a little bit about the other part of it that don't have to do with the murder." "What do you mean?" Dina said. "Well, what about the phone call?" said Lisa. Dina felt her heart sink. "It was just harmless fun," said Dina. "It didn't have anything to do with the murder. Not really. Can you tell me the name of the people you called? No, said Dina. Then she smiled, hoping that she sounded casual. Honestly, the police told me not to say anything. It was no big deal, really. Now, excuse me, I've got to get to class. Me too, said Lisa. But when it's all over, will you give me an exclusive? Sure, Dina promised. If it's ever over, she thought. In trigonometry class, Dina was only half there while Mr. Spencer talked about scenes and consonants and trigates, trig, trangets. All she could think about was what had happened Saturday night and the terrible trouble Chuck was in. Over and over, she thought. Come back to the large man in the mask, the burglar, the real killer. She could, if she could somehow find him, then maybe the police would let Chuck go. How could she find him? Where would she begin? She was still thinking about the masked man after class when someone bumped into her hard in the hall. She raised her eyes, startled and annoyed, to see Bobby McCorney glaring down at her. Excuse me, she mumbled, even though he had bumped into her. She started to move on, but he stepped to the side, blocking her path. Now she could see that his two buddies, Eddie Mixon and Ralph Terry, were right behind him. Even more annoyed, Dina glared back at Bobby. What was wrong with him? He hardly knew her. In fact, they probably hadn't said 3 words to each other in their whole lives. And then she remembered. Bobby was the boy Chuck had fought with the first day of school. Even worse, he was the first one Chuck had called claiming to be the Phantom of Fear Street. Will you let me get by? Dina said, trying to sound polite but firm. Sure, said Bobby, after you listen to me. All right, said Dina, trying to sound tough. I'm listening. I want you to give your brother a message, Dina, Bobby said. Tell the Phantom of Fear Street that if he ever gets out of jail, his troubles aren't over. Got that? Dina didn't answer. Just give him that message, Bobby repeated. Of course, he probably won't ever get out, in fact, he added in a nasty tone. According to the papers, he's guilty, and that means life in prison. A, a, a firm a flame of tears suddenly formed. A film of tears suddenly formed over her eyes, and she didn't even notice that Bobby had turned away and gone off down the hall, laughing with his two buddies. In a daze, Dina stumbled toward the lunchroom and got in line. Usually, she was the one of the first ones there because she liked to get eating over with to go outside on a nice day or to go to the library when it wasn't cold or rainy. But that day, she was nearly at the end of the line. She pointed a ra- she pointed at random to some things on the steam table, and then took her loaded tray over to where Jade was sitting alone. I thought maybe you were stagging a hunger strike. Oh, staging a hunger fight strike. said Jade. I'm almost finished eating already. If you're still hungry, you can have mine, said Dina. I don't have much appetite today. I know what you mean, said Jade. Nobody can talk about anything but the murder and the phone calls, agreed Dina. She took a bite of some brown and green stuff on her plate and swallowed without really tasting it. That reminds me, said Jade. I ran into Rob Morrell this morning. He asked me if I knew anything about some sexy phone call he got. Oh no, said Dina. You didn't tell him. All I told him was that I didn't call him, Jade said. But the paper said the two of us. As a matter of fact, I think he wants to discuss with you, said Jade. Look, he's coming over here right now. Okay, y'all. Hey, Joy, thanks for coming in. Goop Bus. Hey, I hope you're doing good, sis. Yes, yes, yes. We got R.L. Stine. The wrong number. It's getting kind of y'all, y'all. So they didn't lock the brother up. Okay, they didn't lock him up. He got his fingerprints on the weapon. The man said he saw him. Told him what he looked like, and all this stuff, y'all. So we gonna finish getting into it. See what's gonna happen. I appreciate you for coming in, Joy. So, y'all, okay. So Dina saw Rob Morrell, a friendly smile on his face, approaching with a tray in his hand. In a total panic, she stood up, despite desperate for a way to escape. Sit down, said Jade. You haven't eaten a thing. She put she pushed back her own chair. Sorry, I can't stay. I'll talk to you guys, but I've got to return to the library. To return the library book. Jade, no, said Dina. It was too late. With a flash of her mischievous smile, Jade had turned and walked off. A moment after, Rob Morrell slid into the empty seat. Hi, Dina, he said. Hi, she mumbled. She sneaked a look at him. He didn't seem to be angry or upset or anything except friendly. I heard about your brother, he said. What a drag. He's innocent, said Dina. Well, sure he is, said Rob. I mean, I don't really know him, but he seems like a nice guy. Dina didn't answer. As always, when she was with boys, she couldn't think of anything to say. You know, Rob went on, I've been wanting to talk to you ever since we were in the solid geometry together last year. Want to get together sometimes? I guess so, said Dina, not believing what she was hearing. You've probably you're probably pretty busy till the trouble with your brother gets taken care of, said Rob, but I'll give you a call if that's all right. It's fine, said Dina. Great, said Rob, standing up. Somehow I have an idea I'll like talking to you on the phone. He already knew who it was, y'all. He already know. He already know. Later that night, Dina tried to concentrate on her trig homework, but it was impossible. No matter how hard she tried to do a problem, her mind skipped into thoughts of Chuck or of Rob Morrell. In fact, Rob Morrell was the first thing she'd been able to think about besides Chuck's troubles. What did he mean he wanted to talk to her on the phone? Did he know she had made those calls? Did he think she was after his body? Or maybe did he just like her? After all, he had said he'd wanted to talk to her since solid geometry class, and she remembered he had smiled at her sometimes during class last year. Dina yarned and shut her trig book, and then started to get ready for bed. When the phone rang, she jumped nervously before grabbing up the receiver. "Hello?" she said, hoping it was Rob. It was Jade, her voice excited and urgent. "Dina, turn on the TV, channel 7 right now." And she hung up. Puzzled, Dina switched on the little set she kept on her desk. It was the local news, and a reporter was interviewing a big man with a broken nose. There was something familiar about the man. Dina was sure she didn't know him, but she had a feeling she had met him somewhere. "What are your feelings about the suspects?" the reporter was saying. I hope he gets the maximum," said the man in the deep, growling, strangely familiar voice. "I know I'm supposed to turn the other cheek, but I can't forgive someone for such a terrible crime." Well, well, that's about wraps it up here," said the reporter. "Thank you, Mr. Ferguson." Now back into the studio. Dina stared at the TV. "Mr. Ferguson?" Now she knew where she had seen him before. She recognized his voice. Mr. Ferguson was the man in the mask. She putting two and two together, y'all. She putting two and two together, y'all. We gonna see what happened. We gonna see what happened. Didn't I tell y'all? See, I'm glad I said what I said. I'm glad I said what I said. So, reading that right there, that goes to what I said. It had to be him. It had to be Mr. Ferguson in the mask. Because how did you see Chuck? Where was you to see him if it was a burglar in the house? It had to be you in the mask. Hello. It had to be you. I was right. I was right. But let me continue. Let me continue. All right. Dina called Jay back right away. "Was that who I think it was?" she said as soon as her friend answered. It's definitely him," said Jade. "I never forget that voice." "Me neither," agreed Dina. "I think we ought to tell the police." "Oh, sure," said Jade bitterly. "They didn't believe a word we said, and if they didn't believe us before, what makes you think they're going to believe us now? They'll probably just think we're desperate," which we are. "But it was him, Jade," said Dina. "I'm going to call Detective Frazier first thing in the morning." "Lots of luck," said Jade. "Especially since the police don't even believe there was a masked man." "Well, we saw him," said Dina. "If it was Mr. Ferguson, that means he broke into his own house and murdered his own wife." Jade answered in a soft voice. "Why would he do such a thing?" said Dina. "I don't know," said Jade. "There must have been a reason." Dina sat thinking for a moment, wondering what reason anyone could possibly have for committing such a terrible crime. Maybe he and Miss Ferguson had a big fight. She said finally. Maybe agreed Jade. "And maybe he killed her during the fight. But why would he break into the house? It doesn't make any sense." "Wait a minute," Dina said. "What if that's the reason he did it?" "Huh?" said Jade. "You lost me on that last turn." What if he broke into the house to make it look as if a burglar did it? What if it was all part of the plan to kill his wife? Jade was silent for a moment. I see what you mean, she said. But why would he want to kill her? I don't know, said Dina. But I'm sure the police can find out, and then they'll have to let Chuck go. I guess so, Jade said doubtfully. Sure they will. You'll see. And then we can forget about this whole thing and start living normal lives again. If the police listen to me, she thought, and however, and somehow she didn't feel as sure of that as she sounded. Now let me get in. So let me get this straight. Detective Frazier said slowly. It was early the next morning, and Dina had intended to leave the detective a message, but he answered his own phone. Okay, from the spectacle tone in his voice, she almost wished he hadn't. You and your friend both content that the masked man you claim to have seen at the Ferguson's place was actually Mr. Ferguson? Frazier went on. We're positive, said Dina. Then we saw him on TV last night. We both knew instantly from his voice. It couldn't be anyone else. His voice, Frazier repeated dryly. And since it was him, Dina went on, ignoring the detective's lack of response. That means he did it, broke into his house, and killed his own wife. Does your voice analysis tell you why Mr. Ferguson allegedly committed these crimes? Asked Frazier. I don't know. Maybe his wife had a big insurance policy, said Dina. Or maybe they just had a fight. I'm sure you can find out. You are you? Said the detective. He was silent for a moment. Then he sighed. That's an interesting story you've dreamed up, he said. But that's all it is, a story. For your information, Mr. Ferguson is a respected businessman in this town. I understand your desire to divert suspicion from your brother, but we're not buying any tall tales today, y'all. Dina hung up the phone, feeling sick. Jade had been right. The police wouldn't listen to them. That meant it was up to her and Jade to prove that Mr. Ferguson was the masked man. But how? She yawned and finished getting ready for school before calling Jade. What are we going to do? She asked. After a sigh, when she had finished telling her friend what the detective had said. I'm not sure, said Jade. Meet me at my locker before lunch. I think I'm getting an idea. Just before lunch, Dina found Jade bent over her locker, stuffing two huge boxes into a tiny space. Hi, Jade said, looking up. We definitely ought to campaign for bigger lockers. What in the world have you gotten in there? Said Dina. Props, said Jade. Props? Jade managed to get the locker door shut and clicked her lock on it. Then looked at Dina with her familiar mischievous smile. Jade, Dina thought, what what definitely what was wait a minute. Dina thought was definitely up to something, but what? Jade went right on, sounding excited and pleased. Right after we talked this morning, I reread the piece in the Shady Side Press, she said. I never went I never want to see that again, said Dina. It's the worst newspaper article I've ever read. It's full of information about Mr. and Mrs. Ferguson, though, said Jade. For instance, it says that he owns the and operates Albert Alberga Alberga Alberga. I guess that's the name of the place. Alberga 3. So, said Dina. So, said Jade, what better place to find out more about Mr. Ferguson than the place where he works? You mean go into the Alberga and talk to him? Said Dina. Are you crazy? Some people think so, said Jade. But this idea is smart. Look, Dina, he's the owner and manager. The article said that he came home early Saturday night. That means he's probably not there during the day. I'm beginning to catch on, said Dina. Right, said Jade. Well, we'll drive over there right after school. Get out. My dad's out of town, so I have the vet. Well, we'll just poke around, see if we can find out anything. I don't know, said Dina. It still sounds kind of dangerous. What if he comes what if he comes in early? Don't forget, he knows who we are. True, said Jade, but he thinks I'm a redhead with long hair, and you're a blonde with a layered cut. We are, said Dina, beginning to feel aspirated. But we won't be this afternoon, said Jade, but gestured toward her clothes locker. I stopped by my mother's beauty shop this morning before school and borrowed a couple of wigs. I told her we needed them for a drama club production. She smiled impishly. Believe me, Dana, even our own parents won't know us, let alone Mr. Ferguson. Let alone Ferguson. Dina met Jay in the drama club room after school. She had left a message for her parents that she had to go to the library. Squinting into a brightly lit makeup mirror, the girls put on the wigs and extra makeup. When they had finished, Dina thought they both looked great. Jade was now a blonde with a bubble cut and green eyeshadow, while Dina had curly auburn hair and a frizz. Jade dotted a beauty mask mark on Dina's cheek with an eyebrow pencil. We both look at least 18 now, said Jade. Come on, this will be a snap. The Albert, the Alberga 3, that's the name of the place, y'all. The Alberga 3 was a few miles away in the old village. Jade had never been in it, but knew her parents ate there sometimes. Despite the disguises, Dina felt a nervous knot begin to grow in her stomach as Jade pulled her red Corvette into a parking place right in front of Alberga. Alberga. I don't know why I keep having to say it like that, y'all. Alberga. I don't know, Jade, she said. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Listen, said Jade. We have no choice. No one will believe us. We've got to get Chuck out of this mess. Now just follow my lead. The Alberga 3 empty. No, the Alberga 3 wasn't open for lunch, so the dining room was nearly empty. It was dark and cool looking, with big booths and bouquet covered in a dark velvet cloth. On one wall was a large mural of Italy and a candy burned in the glass holders at each table. Let's just order a pepperoni pizza to go. Dina a break, cracked to break the tension. Get real, said Jade. Now remember, keep your mouth shut and let me do the talking. After a moment, a tall, dark haired woman came over to greet them. She was dressed in a white silk blouse and a calf length green skirt with what she was an elegant she was elegant as the restaurant. Yeah, I'm still on. I'm almost, let me see. Hold on. This a long chapter, y'all. This is a long chapter. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. One second, guys. All right. I did like this, like they can see me, y'all. Okay. I had to answer my babies back, y'all. I had to answer my baby back. Can't keep them hanging, okay? Okay. All right. So, y'all, where we at? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Okay. So, they done went into this restaurant. Let me do a recap since I had y'all waiting like that. Let's do a recap. So, they saw the man on TV. By the voice, by how tall he was, and all that other stuff, they knew that they was the man that they heard and saw the night at the house with the mask on, which is Mr. Ferguson. The Miss Ferguson is the woman's that was found passed away on the floor, her husband. Okay, the same person that went to the police and told them that they saw Chuck um, break into the or he Chuck was the one that broke into the house, that he saw his face, this, that, and other. Okay, so now the girls decide they're going to put on some wigs and they gonna go see what's going on with Mr. Ferguson, y'all, because the police ain't believing nothing they saying. Okay, so they gotta do some little detective work themselves. Okay, so they didn't put on some wigs, and now they didn't went to this man's place of business. Okay, so Alberga sounds like a restaurant. It is a restaurant. If I'm not, they said it before. So he owns this Mr. Ferguson person. He owns a restaurant. Okay, him and his wife owned a restaurant. Okay, so they trying to go get some trying to get a little information on Mr. Ferguson. Okay, so they can clear Chuck, because Chuck is in a world of trouble. Okay. Yes, yes. Chuck is in a world of trouble, y'all. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go back here, y'all. Cause I forgot where I was at. Okay. Let's just order a pepperoni pizza to go. Dina crack to break the tension. Get real, said Jade. Now remember, keep your mouth shut and let me do the talking. After a moment, a tall, dark-haired woman came over to greet them. She was dressed in a white silk blouse, calf length green skirt. She was as elegant as the restaurant. May I help you? She asked. She said, no. May I help you? She said. We're here to apply for a job, said Jade. The woman looked at the girls, not hiding her surprise. Did the agency send you? She said. That's right, said Jade. But there's only one opening. The woman the woman objected. Mr. Ferguson can't use more than one assistant. I'm the only one applying, said Jade. My friend just came along to keep me company. I thought you said, oh, never mind, said the tall woman. She looked a little young, but we're fairly desperate since Miss Morrison quit last week. Do you you do take dictations and do bookkeeping? Absolutely, said Jade. Then come with me, said the woman. You can fill out the forms in the office. Jade turned and winked at Dina. Then both girls followed the tall woman through the restaurant kitchen into a small corridor. The woman knocked on a closed door, then called Mr. Ferguson. I thought he worked at night, said Jade in a panic sounding voice. He has to get up early. He has to get an early start, said the woman. In fact, that's the reason we need an assistant at night. She knocked again. Dina and Jade exchanged a quick glance. Dina got ready to turn and run in the opposite direction, but before she could do anything, the door opened. There stood the man with the broken nose. The man identified on television as Mr. Ferguson. The man that both Dina and Jade knew was the masked man. Yeah, he said in his low voice. One of these young women is here to apply for Linda's job, said the woman. The agency sent her. Oh, yeah, said Ferguson. He looked at Jade hard, then turned and looked at Dina. Dina felt as if her heart had stopped beating. Ferguson took his time looking both girls up and down. Then he spoke again. How old are you girls? He said. I'm 19, said Jade. I have a business certificate from the commercial school. Oh yeah, said Ferguson. Dina was beginning to find his limited vocabulary annoying. Well, you might as well fill out an application, he said. Dina began breathing again. Just have a seat, Ferguson said, indicating two battered folding chairs. He thrust an application form at Jade. Fill this out, he said. I'll be back in a few minutes. He turned to the tall woman. Come on, Katie, he said. Let's check the wine inventory before Eugene gets here. Ernie gets here? I don't know why I say Eugene. Ernie gets here. I just seen the E, y'all. Mr. Ferguson and the tall woman left the office, shutting the door. Dina and Jade glanced at each other. I don't believe it, Dina said. Believe it, said Jade. Now, quick, we don't have much time. Quickly, she scurried behind Mr. Ferguson's large, wooden desk. Dina followed her. What are we looking for? She said, I don't know, said Jade. Anything, especially anything that tells us more about Mr. Ferguson. What a mess, Dina said, looking at the clutter of papers. Almost at random, she picked one up. Here's a work schedule, she said. Jade turned to look at it. According to this, Mr. Ferguson only worked every other Saturday night, she said. That means he was off last Saturday. Last Saturday. That's interesting, but it doesn't really prove anything, said Dina. Jade, this is hopeless. What do you think? We. Shh, Jade said. Just keep looking. Both girls continued picking up papers, glancing at them, and then putting them down as neatly as possible, so Ferguson wouldn't be able to tell they had gone through the desk. Nothing either one of them found seemed to have anything to do with Mr. Ferguson and his wife. Dina glanced at her watch. They'd been there for almost 10 minutes. Jade frowned, then started to open the drawer one by one. Hurry, said Dina. He might come back any moment, any minute. I know, said Jade, but I just want to find. Wait a minute. I have an idea. I hope it's a fast one, said Dina. Whenever my mother wants to hide something, like the extra car keys, she tapes them to the underside of the drawer, then began pulling the drawers out again and feeling along the underside with her fingers. Hurry, whispered Dina, wondering how old you had to be to have a heart attack. Jade had searched for underside of all but one drawer. Dina heard a sound in the hall, then muffled voice of Mr. Ferguson calling something to someone named Ernie. Jade, said Jade. She had her hand under the drawer. Wait a minute, I think I found something. Her expression changed quickly from triumph to defeat. Just a wad of chewing gum. A wad of chewing gum. Y'all. They looking for something, y'all. They trying to find anything to get her brother out of trouble, y'all. Shaking her head sadly, she started to close the desk drawer when a sealed envelope caught her eye. It was from Shady Side Traveling Agency. She picked it up to examine it when the office door started to open. Jade shoved the envelope into a pocket and scurried across the stained carpet to her chair just as Mr. Ferguson entered the room. Dina forced herself to look at his face and felt cold all over. All right, girls, Ferguson growled, his face frozen in a mask of anger. Let's stop playing games. I knew the truth as soon as I saw you. Uh-oh. Y'all. He said he knew the truth as soon as he saw them, y'all. Oh, my goodness. What y'all would have did when he said something like that? He knew the truth as soon as he saw them. That means a person, a murderer that chased them. Mind you, he chased them. Okay? What he would have did to them if he had caught them. And now, you sitting in this man's office. Y'all, I would be terrified at that moment. Okay? Because what he gonna do to us? Okay? What he gonna do to us? Let's see. We are now on paragraph 15. Paragraph 15. And y'all, is this a long one? Paragraph 15, y'all. Let's see what's gonna happen. Y'all know we gotta get to the paragraph. We gotta read this. This is our last paragraph. This is our last chapter. Until next time, but let's get through 15, y'all. Whew. My heart beating. My heart beating for them, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I gotta drink me a little water. I got ice in here. It didn't melt it. Huh. Y'all. So, I don't even know what to say. What y'all think gonna happen? They in this room with this man at his establishment, and he know who they are. Y'all, I'm scared for him. Let's see. Let's see. Chapter 15. Let's get started. Did you hear me? Mr. Ferguson repeated. I said I know the truth. Jade recovered her voice first. I don't know what you're talking about, she said. Don't hand me that, Mr. Ferguson growled. Dina thought he had the meanest face she had ever seen. She tried not to think about what he would do next, now that he knew who she and Jade really were. To her surprise, he just walked behind his desk and sat down. He still looked angry, but not dangerous. In fact, he let out a big sigh. Come on, girls, he said. I knew you're not from the agency. I doubt if you're really 18. What's your game? Dina had never felt so relieved in her life. She tried to keep her face from changing, but sneaked a peek at Jade. Jade could be a great actress, Dina thought, was staring right back at Mr. Ferguson, her eyebrows raised haughtily. She makes you think I'm not from. What makes you think I'm not from the agency? She said. I wasn't born yesterday, said Mr. Ferguson. Neither was Katie, the hostess. She thought something was a little funny about you gals. So we called the agency, but they haven't sent anyone today. All right, said Jade. I'll tell the truth. She made it sound as if she was doing him a big favor. And the fact is, I heard about this job from my cousin. She's a friend of your last assistant, Linda Morrison. My cousin told me Linda wasn't working here anymore and I need a job. I didn't know you were hiring through an agency until I got here. Ferguson continued to look at her, an almost admiring look on his face. Now, I got to admit, you have spunk, he said. I'm halfway tempted to try you out. Thank you very much, said Jade, but I wouldn't want the job now. I could never be happy working for someone who is suspicious. Hey, listen, said Mr. Ferguson. I've got to take care of myself. You know, you'd be surprised how many people try to take advantage. I'm sure I would, said Jade, her voice like ice. Come on, Sally, she said to Dina. Let's go find someplace a little more congenial. What with that, she stood up, grabbed the application she had started to fill out, and headed for the door. Dina, her legs a little weak, followed her out the door, down the corridor, through the restaurant, and into the car. Neither girl said a word until they were a block away from Al- Alberga 3. Alberga 3. Then Dina let out a whoop. Jade. Woo woo, Jade. You were fantastic, she shrieked. I can't believe it. Jade had finally let herself start to laugh. When he said he knew the truth, I thought he meant I know, said Dina. Me too. I was scared to death. But you were cool as a cucumber. Are you kidding? Said Jay. I thought my heart had stopped beating, but I knew I had to keep talking. How did you know his former assistant's name? Dina asked. The hostess told us, said Jay. She called she called her Miss Morrison and then Linda. Wow, said Dina. I was so scared I wasn't even listening. I thought you I thought you deserved an Academy Award. She laughed again. I could never work for someone who is so suspicious, she said, mocking Jade. That was great. And the way you calmly kept going through his desk drawers, which reminds me, said Jade, slamming on the brakes and stopped in front of the 7-Eleven. She reached into her purse and pulled out the envelope she had taken. Jade carefully opened the envelope and pulled out a sheet of folding paper. What is it? Said Dina. Jade scanned the paper. It's a plane reservation, she said. A plane reservation, said Dina. Get this, Jade went on. It's a Burroughs Aires, Argentina, one way. Wow, said Dina. It looks as if Mr. Ferguson is about to take a trip. Mm-hmm. He's about to take a trip, y'all. And he's not planning to come back, Jade added. The tickets for Saturday morning. Saturday, explained Dina. This is Tuesday already, Jade. We've got to take this to the police. No, wait. Jade stared at the paper in disbelief. The ticket reservation is for two people, not one, huh? Dina grabbed the paper away from her and read it. What does that mean? I don't know. I guess it means he's planning to take his wife on a one-way trip to Argentina. Maybe they were planning to take a ship back or something. Jade said. She put a hand on Dina's shoulder. Sorry, Kita. This paper I stole is useless. It doesn't prove anything. We struck out. If we show this to the police, they'll laugh us out of the station. We got to let the police know that Mr. Ferguson is leaving the country in 3 days, Dina insisted. How are we going to explain how we know that? Jade asked. He's a respectable businessman, remember? And we're two lying teenagers who just ramshacked his office. Dina stared at the plane reservation in her hand. But if Ferguson leaves town, we'll never be able to prove that Chuck is innocent, she wailed. What are we going to do? Jade thought about it for a while. We have to find out more about Ferguson, she said finally. Maybe Linda Morrison can help us. Who? His former assistant, said Jade. Don't you remember anything? She's the woman whose job I was supposedly applying for today. Oh, said Dina, right. But how can she help us? We don't even know her. Can you get a car tomorrow? Said Jade instead of answering. Her smile was black and Dina knew her she that she was hatching another plan. I don't know, said Dina. My parents are still mad about the phone calls and my mother's car is still being held by police. Listen, we've got the whole day tomorrow, teacher conference day, remember? My dad's back tomorrow, so I don't have wheels. Try to get the car, offer to drive your dad to work. Tell your parents you have to do some research at the library in Waynesburg. What are you talking about? This may not be a a a term paper, said Jay, but as far as Chuck is concerned, it could be the most important research you ever did. I don't believe we're doing this, said Dina. It's It was 11 in the morning. She was so nervous about driving her father's BMW. She was having trouble concentrating on what she was doing. Usually she loved to drive either of her parents' car, but everything had just happened lately, combined with the thought of what she and Jade were about to do, had given her a severe case of butterflies. Well, relax, said Jade. Just keep your eyes on the road. Miss Morrison said she still. Miss Morrison said we should turn right on Lakewood. Y'all, what did you say to her? Dina asked. How did you get her to agree to see us? Y'all, I told her we're conducting a survey, Jade said smugly. I figure we can find out more if we go in person. Great, said Dina. First we're applying for a job. Now we're doing a survey. I'm sick of pretending to be someone I'm not, Jade. This is the only way we can help Chuck, said Jade. Besides, there's no reason why we can't use our real names, and we are trying to get information from her. How did you even find her? Dina asked. I let my fingers do the walking. Answer answered her friend. There were only two L. Morrisons in the whole phone book, and she was the first one I called. Dina just snubbed. Jade was right there. What they were doing was the only way to help Chuck, but somehow she had a feeling it was also a big game to Jade, a chance for her to show off and play tricks on other people. Turn here, said Jade. It sounds it should be up in the next block. Dina pulled up to the curb in front of Miss Morrison's house. It was a small, one-story wooden frame house with a cheery vase of flowers in the front window. Now remember, said Jade, let me do most of the talking. Right, said Dina. She picked up her she picked up her clipboard and followed Jade up the front walk. The door was opened by a short, attractive woman with frosted blonde hair and a pleasant smile. Hello, Miss Morrison, said Jade. I'm Jade Smith from S&S Research Associates. I talked to you on the phone yesterday afternoon. This is my colleague, Dina Martinson. No wonder Jade is so good at this. Dina thought, who else would think to use a word like colleague? You girls are both so young, said Miss Morrison. Come on inside. We're students at the college, Jade said. We do surveys part time. The two girls followed Miss Morrison into a small living room decorated in soft shades of berg and rust. Jade sat down in an armchair and pulled out a pencil. Very businesslike. Jade tried to copy her actions and express, but felt like an idiot. Our firm is doing a survey of the restaurant business in Shadyside, Jade told Miss Morrison. We're concentrating on employees relations. Now we understand you were recently employed by the Alberga 3 restaurant. That's right, said Miss Morrison. But how on earth did you know that? We've already interviewed your former employer, Mr. Stanley Ferguson, Jay said. Can you tell me what kind of boss he was? Dina thought that something changed in Miss Morrison's face, as if a dark shadow had passed over her attractive features. He 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 was okay, she said sharply. Not a bad boss. Jade pretended to write something on her clipboard. What exactly do you mean by that? Miss Morrison seemed visibly fluttered. Just that. Was he was a just that he was okay. Threatened everyone all right. Treated everyone all right. I don't know where I got threatened from. Treated everyone all right. I see. Jade made another notion. She looked so serious and businesslike. She almost had Dina believing it. How did you know? Did you know his wife? What? Miss Morrison, cheek flat, flushed. Her cheeks flushed. His wife. Did you know his wife? I'm sorry. Yes. You have to excuse me. I'm a little edgy today. I'm having a bad day and it isn't even noon. Well, we won't keep you long, Jay said. So, did you know his wife? She came into the restaurant sometimes. Miss Morrison stared at the flower vase in the window. How did she and Mr. Ferguson get along? Jade asked. Instead of answering, Miss Morrison gave Jade a suspicious look. Oh no, Jade gone too far, Dina thought. What does that have to do with the restaurant or employee relationship? Mr. Morrison, Miss Morrison asked. She started to say something else, but the phone on the table beside her rang. She picked it up quickly. Hello? Oh, thank goodness it's you, darling. I've had such a dreadful morning. She suddenly remembered Dina and Jade were in the room. Standing up, she headed the receiver to Jade. I'm going to talk on the other extension. Please hang this up when I get on. I'll only be a moment. Sure, Jade agreed. She held the receiver in front of her, waiting for Mrs. Morrison to pick up the other phone. Are you there? A man's voice on the other end asked. Jade froze. She was sure she recognized the voice. She put the phone to her ear. When Miss Morrison got on, Jade clicked the receiver button, but she didn't hang up. What are you doing? Dina demanded. Shh. Jade held a finger up to her lips. Oh, darling, I'm such a wreck, Miss Morrison was saying with emotion. You've got to come take it away. You got to come take it away. But I'm on my way to the restaurant, the voice said. Jade knew she was right. It was Ferguson on the other end. She pressed the receiver to her ear. I can't have it in my house any longer. You've got to come take it away. Please, Stanley, please. Come take it away, please. Well, okay, Ferguson growled. I'll be there in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Jade slightly replaced the receiver. Dina's, you got to get out of there. Out of here. We got to get out of here. What? How can we? Miss Morrison returned, appearing flushed and uneasy. Sorry about the interruption. She sat down in her chair. Now where were we? Jade and Dina abruptly stood up. Afraid you got to be going, Jade said, looking nervous out of the window. Y'all, looks like they get into some stuff. So apparently, this lady that they went to see, that used to work at this store, just stopped working at this store with his man at. Obviously, they got something going on. Okay? Yeah, they got something going on. And she's telling him that she need to get rid of whatever she. So maybe he took something over there that she holding for him. So we gonna see what that is. Okay? We need to see what that is. Okay? Y'all. Okay? Let's see. Let's see. But what about your survey? There's been a mix-up, Jay said. We were supposed to be somewhere else now. I made a schedule error. We looked at her clipboard as to confirm the error. We'll have to come back sometime. Why don't you we just go through it very quickly, Miss Morrison asked. I'm sure we can do it in 5 minutes or so, and it'll save you a trip. No, really, Jade insisted, glanced out the window, her face reflecting her panic. Come on, Dina. We got to scoot. We're really sorry, Miss Morrison. Thank you for being so understanding. Ignoring the confused, ignoring the confused look on Miss Morrison's face, Dina followed Jade out the door. Hey, what's your what's your hurry? She called as Jade ran to the car and slid into the passenger seat. Ferguson will be here in 5 minutes, Jade said in a loud whisper. That was all Dina had to hear. She practically dove behind the wheel, started the car, and backed down the drive. Go around the block and come back, Jade instructed. What? Park about halfway down the block. You got to see Mr. Ferguson, what Mr. Ferguson does. What's going on here? What is going on here? Dina demanded. What did you hear on the phone? She called Ferguson darling, Jay said, keeping an eye out for Ferguson's car. She did. I mean something is definitely going on between the two of them. She begged him to come over and take something away. Y'all. She said she couldn't bear to have it in her house anymore. He groused about it and but he's on his way over. What on earth could it be? Dina asked. She circled the block and parked across the street and a few houses down from Miss Morrison's house. Seconds later, Mr. Ferguson's old car pulled up. Miss Morrison's short driveway. Duck, down, Jade whispered. He might see us. As they peered over the dashboard, Ferguson walked straight up the house without looking left or right. Morrison greeted him at the door, and the two of them kissed, a long, lingering kiss. Then she pulled him inside and closed the door. Wow, Dina said. Double wow, Jay said. The two of them are definitely in an item. Do you think Miss Morrison is the reason Ferguson killed his wife? Dina asked. I don't know. Jay stared at the closed door. Miss Morrison's house, as if it had some answers for her. I just thought of something. The plane reservations to Argentina. What about them, Jade? Maybe the second ticket is for Miss Morrison. You mean the plane to leave the country with her? He planned to leave the country with her? Yes, it's perfect, Dina said with glowing excitement. He killed his wife, and he plans to run away with Miss Morrison. Now we really have something for the police. No, we don't, Jay said, shaking her head. All we have are a lot of guesses. Mm-hmm. Maybe Ferguson's having an affair with Miss Morrison. Big deal. That doesn't prove he killed his wife. We haven't proved anything, Dina. Well, then, we've got to get the proof. Why are we sitting in this car? Shouldn't we sneak up and look in the window? Dina started to open the car door. No, don't move. He's only staying a second. He told her he was on his way to the restaurant. Just as she said that, the front door opened and Ferguson appeared. They could hear him call goodbye to Miss Morrison. Then he closed the door behind him. What's he carrying? Dina asked. Ferguson had a small package in his hand. It appeared to be a paper bag tied up with string. He lift he lift his he lift the lid on the small garbage can next to Miss Morrison's porch and started to deposit the package in it. Then suddenly he changed his mind. He placed the garbage can lid and carried the package to his car. That's very strange, Dina said, ducking low behind the steering wheel. He started to throw it away. Then he decided to take it with him. What on earth could it be? They watched Ferguson back down the driveway. Follow him, Dina, Jay said. Let's see where he goes with that package. Dina started the BMW and eased it slowly after Ferguson's car. Stand more than half a block behind him. I know what it is, she said suddenly, turning the corner. What? I know what's in the package, Jade. I just know it for sure. Well, come on, don't keep me in suspense. It's the mask, Dina said, her eyes straight ahead on Ferguson's car. It's the mask and the bloody shirt he wore the night he killed his wife. Mm-mm-mm. Y'all, we didn't hit chapter. We didn't hit chapter 16, y'all. Mm-mm-mm. What y'all think about that? Whew. We got to chapter 16, y'all. So, mm-mm-mm. So you mean to tell me that this woman, he was having an affair with this woman. Okay? Now he got rid of his wife. He was having an affair with this woman. And must have took her to the evidence that he was wearing the night of taking out his wife. Hello? They getting ready to get on the plane. They finna go one way to Argentina, okay? They getting up out of there, okay? They getting up out of there. So what did he do that to his wife for? So he can get the insurance money or something? Guess we won't know that until next time, y'all. But I think that's pretty interesting. I can't wait till next time. Okay? Got me waiting for next time, okay? Because I need to see what's going to happen. I need to see what's going to happen, y'all. Okay? But with that being said, y'all, that was very interesting. But until next time, guys. The next time we'll be doing we're gonna be starting on chapter 16. So what y'all think so far? I got a lot of thoughts. We'll be go bit to those thoughts next time, guys. I thank each and every one of y'all for coming. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to see. See. Okay. Thank you for the 7 likes coming in. If you haven't liked, please like. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And guys, I want y'all to comment in the comment box. Even if you watch this on a replay, comment in the comment box. I want to kind of do my own little survey on how many people would like me to read a romance book and how many people would like me to read that likes the horror books, okay? Because if some people don't like the horror, I do want to be able to still read something for them. So I'm thinking like maybe drama, maybe romance. Okay, we gotta see. Okay, we gotta see. But comment down below what type of books or what kind of stories y'all would like me to read, so I can kind of get a little notion of what y'all want. Okay, cause your girl love her some books, and I want y'all to be a part of it with me. Cause I can give y'all some reactions. Cause your girl be all in it. Okay, your girl be all in it. But with that being said, make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you know when I'm posting. I love each and every one of y'all. Thank each and every one of y'all for coming. And until next time, wonder what's gonna happen. Bye, guys.